All right, Slap fans, this thing, I'm back. I have Dontae Smiley, hailing from Dallas, Texas, a pro wrestler.
Come on.
Jumping on over through the Power Slap training camp. This group of pro wrestlers, I mean, there's just something different, right? I'm a guy, you know, I've watched WWE, dabbled a little bit in AEW, ECW back when it was around. There's just something about you guys. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably exactly what I expected.
Right.
But there's a layer to it that's like, man, the way you guys get each other, the energy that you're bringing, it's just so different. I was just explaining it to Maximus. You know, I know you were watching that. Like when you have a credentialed MMA athlete, in some cases world champions,
right?
Boxing world champions, football players who are at the highest level, they all come and they're in a cadre in a camp together. They don't have that sort of that piece that connects them all.
Right.
You guys in a room where you all have competed on the indie circuit. Some of you guys have made it up to the big shows. In some cases, a Raw, SmackDown, at AEW, right? At OVW, depending on what developmental scene you're on.
Right.
But like, so I'll start here. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'll start with. Talk to me about your professional wrestling background. How long have you been doing this, and what? Tell me a little bit about the character Dontae Smiley.
Yeah, no doubt. So I've been doing this 11 years. I started in 2014, and it's funny because growing up, I obviously was a professional wrestling fan, had all the figures as a kid and all that good stuff, you know what I mean? But it was more of a pipe dream for the longest time because you really have to know how to get into it to really get into it. You can't just love it. Like it's definitely a niche of a thing to be able to find schools. At least in 2014 it was. They weren't as prominent and big as they are a little bit more today, you know, because wrestling has definitely blown up over like the last 5 years or so, even more so. And so it's a little bit hard to find it, but once I did, man, I just tried to hit the ground running, and I was a videographer and photographer. I ran a podcast, actually, about wrestling. We went out and did some photography, videography work, met some wrestlers. I got the number to my trainer, Anthony Black, messaged him, went out that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday training, and now 11 years in, we've still here. Been blessed with a lot of opportunity, been on AEW a few times, did some stuff with the NWA. I got an independent contract with a company called the OIWA that has multiple companies here domestically, but also we have like 3 or 4 countries that are like over in the Europe area, in Portugal, over in the UK, over in Germany. We just did a little partnership with one in Australia. I'll be going out there actually later this year. And but as far as me and my gimmick goes, man, when you watch all my stuff, I like, you know, they say wrestlers are like themselves 10X, right? And that's really what I bring to the table. You see everything you see me in the ring, everything you see out of my promos is no different than how you saw me acting over at the Apex Institute, you know what I'm saying? It's exactly the same as far as that goes, where just a lot of athletic ability, a lot of strength for my size, man. I like to have a good time in there. Whether like I'm face or heel, you kind of, obviously the switch has to change a little bit, but ultimately at the same time, it's still going to just be the same thing. It's not like I'm changing full gimmicks or anything like that, whether I'm the baby face of a match or whether I'm a heel of the match. You know what I'm saying? You're still going to get the athletic stuff. You're still going to get the crap talking whenever I'm in the ring or whatever else it may be, both ways. It's just how I put it, how I said different, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, like I said, it's just myself 10X, and that's exactly what they were saying they wanted out of us in Power Slap. There ain't no gimmicks. This is real fighting. It's not scripted or anything like that, but they still want us to bring ourselves to the table in the way that we would bring ourselves to the table absolutely anywhere else, and I'm excited to be able to do that.
It's interesting that you say that, you know, yourself 10X, right? That term, I think probably the most successful slap fighters that are organically grown, meaning they have no other exposure. So they're not an MMA fighter. Okay. They just came to slap, and they sort of have grown with the audience. A guy that comes to mind is Austin Turpin. What people really loved about him was that he is very raw. He's very like, what you see is what you get. And Wolverine is the light heavyweight champion. He's not here for this event, but he was in the last Power Slap training camp. Very, very unassuming kind of guy. Arkansas, hard worker, slap fighting for a very long time, kind of considered the greatest of all time by Dana White's standards. Austin Turpin got under his skin and made him do things that were very uncharacteristic. I think that, for me, as a wrestling fan, was the first time I saw somebody that I was like, man, that guy really understands this. Right. And so what's exciting for me, and I think what will be exciting for the viewers, is that as this all goes on, you guys will figure out a way to sort of find a happy medium between really being full gimmick and kind of being yourself, while also understanding that there's an element to this that's absolutely real. Correct. It's not just athleticism. Correct. I think Frank set it up there himself. in some cases, when you're getting hit, like you kind of either got it or you don't.
Right.
Right. Neck strength and all these attributes, and there's different sort of, I'll call them myths because they're not proven.
Okay.
Out there about what you can do to make this better or that better,
Right.
or take a strike easier, or whatever. But none of it is all bulletproof. Everybody's, at some point, most people have gotten got. And
Right.
so what makes you feel like you wanted to do this when you have this professional wrestling career where you take bumps and some of these are realer than you intend them to be?
Right. No,
but this
for sure.
is with no disrespect to any other discipline, this is as real as it gets.
No, 100%, man. Like me growing up, man, I've always had a beacon for violence, to be honest. You know what I mean? That's why wrestling was so fitting. That's why I love doing hardcore matches and going through tables and getting hit with ladders and getting hit with chairs and getting hit with kendo sticks. Like, none of that feels good. You know what I mean? What we do may be scripted, but when we get hit with stuff, we're for real getting hit with those things. You know what I mean? And absolutely none of it feels good. And so to me, it's one of them things, the fact that I could get paid to be violent and then not get me in trouble like it used to, and use it for something to not only help benefit my family, you know what I mean, but even help kids in the future once it gets to that point. Because I talk at a lot of schools and stuff as well with what I've done in wrestling. I get invited to a lot of schools to go talk to kids. We do bully rallies and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And this is going to give me another level to be able to do that, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I just like fighting. And I can't get in trouble for it here, you know what I'm saying? I've slapped people for less, if I'm being completely honest, you know what I mean? I've slapped people for way less, so it's getting good that I get to do it here for differently, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're paying you. Not only are they welcoming you to do it, but they're paying you to do it, and there's people paying their hard-earned money to come watch you do it.
Right.
It's a trifecta.
Right.
What would you say, since you brought it up, what would you say is the kind of the hardest or the most painful object you've ever been hit with?
The hardest would definitely be, the hardest bump I've ever taken, I'll say this first. The hardest bump I've ever taken was when I was speared off of the apron. Like, somebody was in the ring, speared me off the side apron, through a table onto the floor. Wow. That was the hardest bump I've ever taken. Definitely never want to take that again if I don't have to. Definitely would be down to if the match called for it, though. But I think the hardest weapon to actually get hit with is the kendo stick. Like, the kendo stick whips.
Harder than a steel chair?
Oh, yeah. As far as, like, the after feeling, because the kendo stick's going to make you welt. It'll cut you. It's worse than getting hit with a switch that your mama made you grab out of a tree when you were younger, you know what I'm saying? Like, real spit. So I would definitely say that ultimately. Yeah.
So once you take your first slap, I'm going to ask you what was the worst.
Fair enough.
And we'll see. We'll see kind of where that all ranks. Because, again, being honest, you guys are kind of special in a lot of senses, but in the sense that we don't have anybody. I mean, there's Cooper Housey, McKinney, Manu have kind of dabbled, but I don't think there's anybody who's done this as a full-time career that is really making this transition where we have that comparison tool. So I'm really excited for your prospects. What do you know of Power Slap so far? Is there any strikers that you've seen, that you know them, their face, their name, fan of their matches or anything like that? Yeah, man.
So I would definitely say, like, Brandon was one of the first ones that I actually started following, like, well before this opportunity. Yeah. Way before this opportunity even came about, Brandon was one of the first ones I followed. And through that, like, I started following Anthony, and then I started following Robert and a few of the other guys, Wolverine, obviously, a few of the other ones and stuff. And so I've been following it for a minute, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people that I told once the opportunity came up that I'll be coming to Vegas to do this hadn't watched it. And then when I showed them, they were like, holy crap, dog. But then also at the same time, everybody was like, that makes sense that you want to do something like that. Because people know I'm half-ass crazy anyway. So it was ultimately very fitting in that at that aspect.
Well, another thing that I'll tell you is, when you grow a brand, a great thing to do, and this is something that obviously Vince McMahon did in the early days of wrestling when it was territories. He kind of made it national by going into territories, taking that hometown hero, the star, and then building it. In the same sense, Power Slap is legal in Texas.
Come on.
We haven't been there yet.
I know it.
But Texas welcomes violence.
I know it.
The UFC's been there. Power Slap, one of the first states to sanction Power Slap, among the first few.
Only time will tell. Right. I'm here for it. I am here for it, brother.
I love it. And then for any Slap fans who don't know who you are, haven't followed your career, where can they find you on social media?
They can find me on all social medias at D Smiley Built Different. You type in D Smiley Built Different. Also, you could just Google Dontae Smiley and everything will come up and some. So that's the easiest thing is to Google. But ultimately, the social medias is at D Smiley Built Different, and they can find me there.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for joining
Appreciate
me.
it,
Really
bro.
appreciate it.
Most definitely.
I'm looking forward to the future.
Thank you, brother.